keys to the kingdom. We're gonna unlock the things from the Lord. There's joy in the kingdom. Hey, I know it is. There's peace in the kingdom. Hey, yes it is. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. We're gonna unlock the things from the Lord. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes we do, I know we do. We're gonna unlock the things from the Lord. No matter what you're going through, Jesus got the keys for you. You can bind things on earth, it shall be bound in heaven. You can lose things on earth, it shall be loose in heaven. We will. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we do. We're gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you may. We got the keys to the kingdom. Ever you may. We're gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Keys to the kingdom. He had them for me and you. Keys to the kingdom, I know he do. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do, I know we do. Gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you we got the keys to the kingdom. Joy, peace. We gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you we got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Peace. We got the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you may the keys to the kingdom. Yes, we do. I know we gonna unlock the things from the Lord. Ever you may the keys to the kingdom. We're gonna unlock the things from the Lord.
Blessings, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Think About It Tuesday. Y'all come on in and join in, and as we get this party started. And y'all know on Think About It Tuesday night, it's summer everything. And so before I make the announcements that I need to make, I want to say welcome to Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're so glad to have you all. God bless you, man of God, pastor, the anointed one, James William Jackson, the next mayor of Indianapolis, Indiana. My prayers are with you, sir. I'm believing God has given you the land, and you're going to be the next mayor of Indianapolis, Indiana. God bless you. And guys, so we're about to have some fun tonight. I have a good friend that's coming on tonight, and she's known by some of y'all. A lot of y'all might know her, but she's really, really a good friend, and I want to have her on because Think About It Tuesday, we talk about some of everything. So before we make the announcement, let me bring my friend Anna Connects you. Blessings, young lady.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm excited to have you with us. Um, so, a couple of things for those that know that we have an opportunity to bring leadership to the city of Milwaukee because Dr. David King is now running for mayor of the city of Milwaukee. So,
Yes.
we're looking to do great things in the city of Milwaukee. So, two things that I want to touch on before we get started. And the first one is the book. Why it's important to stay in the middle from a kingdom perspective. And it is written by yours truly, Dr. David King. If you want to order your copy, you can call 414 676 0842. 414 676 0842. Had to think about my own number. Ain't that something? So we are excited about the book. It is now in 13 states. I am excited about that. It is in 13 states. It's all the way on the West Coast. It's all the way in California. It's in Utah, South Dakota, Colorado, Nevada, Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, Minnesota, Michigan. I'm missing somewhere besides Wisconsin, I believe also Illinois. So you guys can come out and order your book. It is an amazing book from a biblical perspective, why it's important to stay in the middle. And then December 11th through the 13th, we're having a Kingdom Constitutional Summit. Now, let me just tell you guys about this summit. It is amazing. We're going to be teaching the Constitution. We're going to be teaching on PMA, Private Ministry Association. We're going to be teaching on how to win a court case without a lawyer. We're going to empower so many people with so much knowledge and so much information that your head might explode in these 3 days. But it's going to empower you to understand not only your rights, but your God-given rights, and showing how a lot of people say, well, the church doesn't supposed to be in politics. And then I don't know who you've been following, because if you've been following Jesus Christ, the Bible teaches us that Christ is a king. And if he's a king, he's bringing a government. And if he's bringing a government, then it says, upon this rock, I will build my church. That word church is ecclesia. And the definition of an ecclesia is a body of diplomat officials. So you automatically in politics. And if you are king yourself, you're also part of government. So we have to be in government to govern government so the people of God can be taken care of. So this is $50. It just covers the cost. It's not nothing to profit on. We have two speakers coming in from the other side of Wisconsin. They're going to be teaching on PMAs. You need to learn about it, especially those pastors. Pastors, you need to know about PMAs, Private Ministries Association. It protects you in so many ways that we're going to be teaching. If you want more information, you can call 414-676-0842 or 414-899-2688. You can call either number. You can register by phone. We're not sending any money through PayPal, so you can call us by phone and register and pay when you get there. But we are going to need a head count because so many people are already calling with numbers of 6 at a time. So you want to get in this. If you want anything better for your life, anything better for your church, anything better for your children, then this is something that you want to be a part of, because Thomas Paine said it better. Knowledge will always govern ignorance. So we want to empower you guys with this. So we thank you guys for that. And let's see. Oh, we got Liz watching so far as well. Y'all know what to do. Check in, say hello, let us know what part of the state or the nation you are coming from. So we're excited about that. So I am ready to talk. Are you ready to talk?
I'm ready. Let's bring it.
All right. Now, Anna going to be talking about some stuff and on this Think About It Tuesday. And let me just put it up real quick. If you want to call in and have conversation with us, where is my, okay, here it is. You can call in at 414-585-9511. You can call us and we would put you on the phone and you can have a conversation with us. Also, I don't know if he's still watching, but Dr. Jackson, if there's anything I can do for you in Indianapolis, I just want you to know I am willing to come to Indianapolis and help you with your race for mayor because Indianapolis needs you. So I just wanted to put that out there. So now let's get the party started. I'm turning it over to you.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show today. I greatly appreciate it. Having been a podcaster myself, Anna Connects You was taken off of YouTube, and I was taken off of Facebook and Twitter, and I've just been demonetized in every single way. But I had my own podcast, and I used to do my own lives and used to cover a lot of different aspects of the South. But I think the first thing I just want to do is just kind of introduce myself to people.
Yes.
My name is Anna, and as I kind of even introduced myself to you with a little bit of my background, because a lot of my background is going to be in relation to today's conversation and
All
why
right.
I'm so passionate and excited to talk about some of the things that are coming up, both in politics as well as things to kind of look out for in our lives that will kind of make our lives a little bit better
Yes.
moving forward. And you and I have always resonated from the moment that we've met. But a little bit about my background. I was born in Guatemala back in 1984, and definitely third world country. Back then, my mom was a beggar on the streets of Guatemala with my siblings. And one day, the president of Guatemala, his wife, saw my mom begging on the streets and took her to a clinic so I could be born. So I wasn't born on the streets. So, just having saved my life there, when she did give birth to me, she came down with meningitis and she didn't recognize me. And so a couple of years later, I was put up in the orphanage up for adoption. And during those times in the 80s, and even still now, but more so back then, a lot of children were being, organ harvested. It was a big deal. And I was really lucky, not to have been one of those children who, didn't have a good outcome for myself. I use a lot of that passion from my background and where I've been because I've done a lot since then. I've gone on to, I started playing violin at the age of 3. I went on to play in the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra for 2.5 years. I've had a great upbringing with with a lot of hard work, but a lot of private schools. And then I've gotten my master's degree in education and graduated back in 2017. Now I'm the director of education for a nonprofit organization in Waukesha County. The whole road in and of itself can be exhausting, but along the way, there is so much opportunity for growth and, revaluation. And I think where we're headed right now, we can really be excited because we actually have some good things coming. And most people are like, you got to be kidding me, Anna, because all I'm seeing is the collapse of our government, is the collapse and loss and lack of, connection that we're having with people. We're losing people more than ever. Well, we don't need to, re-explain things that we already know. The biggest things we can do is working on the self. And that's where you and I connect so strongly, is that relationship building with the self. And what does that mean?
Let me come back on the screen because I was putting you out there so you can just have your way. And when we see things from a perspective of hungry, want to help, being survivors, no
Mhm.
matter what we went through in life, and learning the truth. you know, and when you see what's happening, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's so terrible. We don't know what to do." But because we are survivors and we don't see terror, we see hope because we know what it takes. You know, we know the solutions. Why? Because most of those solutions we had to use on our own lives to come out of things that we was in. And you know, and when it comes to education, whether it's in the school or after school, or educating how to take care of a family, economics, how to deal with politics, how to deal with knowledge on being a great parent, a great father, a great wife, a great everything. You know, it's all about education. And I was uh, I was at an event today, and I said it Saturday in my church. I said we're only a victim of two things: our own ignorance and our own laziness. Those are the only two things that we are victim of. And it's not like the information is not here. It's just that we was like the children of Israel. God told Moses, "Bring them to the mountain. I want to talk to them." And they was like, "No, we don't want to talk to God, Moses. You just tell us what he said." You know, and that's how it is right now. We're allowing other people to tell us what they're saying instead of us really taking a look and see what's going on. Because a lot of us, like you saying, don't know what's going on.
No.
Um we're sad because we don't know what's going on. We're afraid because we don't know what's going on. And this is why I love what you do and what I do, because our desire is just to empower people, prepare the people to be ready. You know, Channel 6 used to say it this way. Channel 6 used to say, "Be prepared, not scared," right? So we need to do that to people. We need to prepare them
We do.
for what's getting ready to happen. So when it happened, it's not a big shock. It's not,
Right.
they're not devastated behind it, but at the same time, they're prepared. So when there's a shift, they know how to shift as well.
And that's the biggest thing of all too, is it looks so different for different people. And one glove does not fit all because of
Right.
our experiences and our backgrounds. They just don't always align. I've been a life coach for a very long time, and I can tell you firsthand that a lot of the clients and people that I've worked with, they're really lost and they are really scared. But there's a way to create that level of empowerment.
Yes. And
There is a way to do that in a healthy way. That's like, there's point A, point B, and no one in podcasts are really talking about the future, what we have to prepare for.
right. And so, you know, one of the things that I love in the Bible, it says, "And God made rich man and God made poor man, but they had one thing in common, and that was sight." So it's how we see things, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody's looking at it and saying, well, let's take 2020 for an example, right? COVID hit, everybody was afraid, except for those who saw it different. Some of the people say 2020 was my best year. My business was booming in 2020 while everybody else was shutting down, being afraid, because they saw it as an opportunity. You know, I'll buy your house if you want me to. You're afraid, you ain't got the money. Let me buy your house. I'll pay you cash. And people were selling like hotcakes
Mhm.
because they was terrified. Um, you know, and now that people is getting used to COVID and all of that, look at the house market now. It's starting to, level itself out, and you're not getting those sweet deals that you was getting in early 2021.
Mhm.
Let's
And
see. Go ahead.
prepare for life, be purposeful, driven, love driven. Yes, most definitely. That's at the core of everywhere where we want to be. But how do you get there? Because you don't get
Yes.
there overnight. And to build up to that is going to take a lot. There's this meme that I saw the other day, and it was kind of broken in half into like a little stick guy. And there's our vision of what we think our purpose is, and it's just a straight walk to the end and without any obstacles. And then
Right.
below the picture of the meme is this guy, and there's like all these obstacles because that's God's path for us. It's never going to be the easy, way that we think it's going to be. There's going to be obstacles along the way. And why are those obstacles so important? Because they help grow the spirit. They help grow us to that next level of where we need to be. But if we don't have the vision, if we don't have the gumption, if we don't have the grit, then we're really stuck in limbo and not able to, move forward in the way that we need to move forward. We're looking right now at the education. We've talked a little bit about education, but education is going to be really big in the future because it's going to have a major shift. Our governments are going to have a major shift. I talked before we even went on today that one of the biggest focuses that I'm hearing is that the Senate is something really to keep an eye on right now. It is massive what's going to be coming in the Senate in the next month. And I don't think people are prepared because they're going to be like, wait a minute. Why didn't anybody prepare me for this? Well, the Balenciaga or Balenciaga, I don't even know how to pronounce the name of that business, but they've been taking up so much room right now. And they're just a distraction. Honestly, they're a distraction in one way, but they are waking people up in another way. Why? Because they're showing people face to face saying, hey, the devil's real, devil's alive. I mean, you have that company who made a big boo-boo, a huge mistake, a huge marketing error, not once, not twice, but tons of times. And if you go back and you Google them, you will see the subliminal messaging that is all encoded in their marketing campaigns, and how many Christians and how many people were trying to shed light on this, how many years ago about Disney and the subliminal messaging within Disney. And you just have to look on your Netflix account. I mean, you can just look on Netflix anytime and see, 95% of it is dark and demonic. I mean, since when are zombies like the greatest thing? Is that what you want your children watching?
You know what happened with that? And I just have to say it. The church went away from God and they let everything in, right? You got people debating about trick or treat, Halloween, the festival of the dead, right? But they saying, well, we got them dressing like princess, so it's nothing wrong with it. You're participating in something that you should not be participating in.
We're participating in pagan holidays.
Right. So when you look at it from, I preach the message like this: the world is not bad. We just not working. And when I say we, I'm talking about the body of Christ, because God's the one who gave us dominion and authority over the world system and the earth. But most believers never separate earth and world because it's two different things. That's why in Psalms 24 it says, the earth is the Lord's, the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell in there. So everything belonged to God. He entrusted us with it, but we went so far away from God that everything then got in right now. I mean, you look at churches right now. I heard a pastor say this in Georgia. He said one of the biggest problems we have is we're too busy preaching to the sin and not to the sinner. And that's what people is doing. You focus on the sin, but you're not focused on the sinner or the one that needs the help, right? So
Right.
if we would show the love to the one that needs the help, we wouldn't have to worry about the sin itself. But
And I had mentioned to you like some of my favorite books on prayers for protection.
oh yes,
These are two of my absolute favorite books. Monitoring Spirits, because that's a thing, and Prayers for Protection. And these are really powerful. I have found these to be incredibly, incredibly powerful books. And I'm going to send them to you and be able to add this into the link. These are really great. I don't know if you've ever covered the Courts of Heaven.
oh yes.
I love the Courts of Heaven. Another one of my great books, 365 Prayers and Activations for the Courts of Heaven. That's, if you think that's not a place that truly exists, I can assure you it actually does. And we have dominion within that.
Now, this here,
Yeah.
since we're showing books,
I know we're showing books.
This
You
one
show me
here
yours, I'll show you mine.
is a book from Miles Monroe, and
Yes,
it's called 40 Days Devotional Journey.
that's amazing.
Journey. So journal. And what it does, it helps remind you who God called you to be.
Right,
And it helps you to see yourself from the eyes of God. And this is why we're supposed to be kings and priests, but we're living like peasants.
right,
And why? Because somebody forgot to tell us from a spiritual standpoint who we are.
right.
Now they'll try to tell us in the natural, you're black, you got to struggle. You're Latino, you got to struggle. No. I'm a man of God, and nobody belonging to God got to struggle. We choose to struggle because we won't do it God's way.
The power of the mind is so big, and that is one of the biggest fights that we're seeing right now. And this is what I said when I used to have a podcast in 2020. This was right before I got demonetized because I was up for a while and I was really growing my channel. But in 2020, I said, look at this year as better vision. What does 2020 mean for you? It means to us, because we've been programmed, 2020 means better vision, but 2020 also means information. Barbara Walters on 2020, right? She used to have that program. What did that automatically instill in our brains? More
Right.
information. I'm going to learn something.
Right.
Well, in the year 2020, we are growing not only in wisdom closer to God, but we are also seeing the truth and the reality within every aspect of the self and our food, which means we have to make adjustments. We have to make changes so that we live a healthy life and that we're taking care of the nourishing body that we have so that we can do the work that we want to. We talked about, having the armor of God.
Yes.
And what does that look like? Because we're still defining it differently.
Right.
I told you about my mom, who she sees a gaudy piece of jewelry, and she automatically has this program that runs through her head where she feels like, it's too much, it's gaudy, it's this, it's that. And to me, that's my armor of God. If it's real gold, we talked about that. Real gold,
Yes.
real silver. They're called precious metals for a reason.
Yes.
Because precious metals are literally precious. They are healing. There are healing modalities with wearing silver, gold, copper, any of those aspects. There's healing modalities. When you look back to times where you saw waterfalls or little fountains in the middle of a town and people were throwing pennies and dimes in there, they weren't doing that for their, to make wishes, like we're programmed and we're told that that's what it is. No. The truth is they cleanse the water, because when you put copper, when you put pennies, when you put copper in your water, after 4 hours, it will cleanse the water. It will cleanse it. But, and then we got to go back to copper pipes, all those other aspects, constantly reprogramming, constantly looking at things from a better perspective, from a lighter perspective, from a healthier perspective. And, it's exciting to get excited about this because our vision is getting better. Look at how much we shifted from 2020 to 2021. And then look where we are now at our precipice moment. Yes. And a lot of us, we know we can't keep going down this road. We have to, we literally are on the side of God or we're on something else.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not God. I'll tell you that.
And the thing about it is what God is doing, he shook us up. And he says, I'm finna show y'all who really for me, who's really not for me. Mm-hmm. The show that you've been putting on, I'm finna cancel your show. Now, if you ever wanted to know the true meaning of cancel culture, God does it. He cancels you in a heartbeat if you're not lining up. And in 2020, it shocked us because pastors closed their church up until their money started going short. Then they hurry up and open it back up. Hey, J-Rod.
I may take a tongue lashing for this, but I believe it did. It actually really did. And it needed to. It didn't open up our eyes. Just, I think it took us to a whole new place. It was kind of needed. And some people say this path that we're on right now is the lesser of the two evils, of many evils that we probably could have gone through had Hillary Clinton been in office. It is said online multiple times that we would be in a different place. Individuals like you and me would not even be here right now if it wasn't for the new path that we're currently on.
Yeah, because we would have been in trouble.
We would have been in big trouble.
And you know, I kind of would welcome it because I'm one of those that I'm not gonna be quiet.
No.
You're not gonna shut me up. And like J. Ross said, it opened us for many issues. I remember when we was running for lieutenant governor. One of the lieutenant governor candidate kept saying, in 2020 they stole our rights. In 2020 they stole our rights.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, no, they didn't. 2020 showed you how much of your rights has already been taken.
Even better.
They didn't take them in 2020. 2020 just let us see how much was taken.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and the proof's in the pudding. We have so much proof on everything that's happened so far.
And we didn't pay attention when our kids came home and said, if you hit me, I'm calling 911. That let you know they took our rights away right then and there, but we didn't say nothing. We didn't pay attention to it. We didn't say anything when Common Core came and they was just passing the kids and you just wanted to go to a graduation and then you realize your child can't read or do math. You know,
and how late and how long that they wait too before they even do something. Because part of my background is I've been a special education teacher for Milwaukee Public Schools. I've put those IEPs together. And I told you, I don't know if I told you this, I recently had an IEP for my son today. And I was really disappointed how long they waited to actually help him out. But I am very thankful that they are using a system that actually helps with dyslexia. And that'll be another conversation for another time. But we're going to have to get into the solutions to a lot of these issues and a lot of these problems because, we have so much we have to fix up from how we take care of ourselves with the food that we're eating, with the water that we're drinking. It's all contaminated. And I sent you also a link. Was it ewg.org? Yes. And anybody can go on there, ewg.org. You can see right in your own backyard via zip code how bad and contaminated your water is and how many chemicals and the high calculation of cancer that can accumulate from the poison that's in our water right now.
Oh, yeah. And I was talking to a lady today, and one of the things we were surprised is so many women right now that are having massive heart attacks.
No, you don't say. I can't imagine why.
I know, right? And then some said it's because they took the carrot, but then there's some that have not took the carrot and they having massive heart attacks too.
It's interesting because you're around other people who have had carrots.
Right.
And they're not healthy carrots.
Right.
They're contaminated carrots.
Yes. So,
and then if you engage in activities with somebody else who's had a carrot, that's not good either, just so you know.
Right.
I don't know if you know that. Most people don't. The whole dating pool in and of itself, when we're talking about the better vision, the bigger vision, I can't tell you how everything and every aspect of everybody's lives has changed. Right. It's not just your friendships, but it's your relationships. It's even trying to find a mate that has completely gone out the deep end.
Well, I mean, now you got to look and say, hold your neck up. Let me see. Move your turtleneck. Let me see. Make sure there's no atom right there.
Oh, dear. Well, they do that on the profiles now. See, you're married. You're a married man. Me and the single world, the dating stuff, it's all televised. It's all on there as such bureaucracy and such political nonsense. It's disgusting. And if you say anything that you are on whichever side you are, people, certain dating sites will just block you.
Well, see, I'll be honest. If I wasn't, I wouldn't go through a dating site.
And that's okay. But if you're a very busy person, you work all the time, you don't want to meet somebody in a bar outside of church.
I'll be like, okay, Lord, now you really. I'll be just like Isaac, right? Abraham, when he went and got Isaac a wife, I'd be like, okay, Lord, you got to, because I need
I love
one,
it.
because you got, look, I need one that ain't took the carrot. I need one that
Make your list.
you got to. And
Yeah,
it's
write it down.
but here's the thing. The list is not about the credit score or
No.
you
No, it's
know,
about the heart.
right.
It's about the heart. It's about the values. But what's really great about this whole, situation that we're in right now, with what we've gone through, can I say the C word or no?
It all depends on what C word.
The COV word, ID.
I think you can say that.
I'll be careful. Anyways, with all of that that's been going on, it's allowed for us to pick actually better relationships, because either relationship have broken off because you're not in alignment
Right.
with your same values, because they've been tested to such a high level, which is so good. That is so good to be tested. Because then you grow when you go through these challenges within your life. And
Right.
then for some people, it grew them so much closer.
Right.
But it ended some unhealthy relationships, and some people stuck it out. Like, they wouldn't even leave their unhealthy relationships. They're like, nope, I'm in it to the end, and I'm gonna just keep dealing with the drama and the narcissism and
And
the
you sitting there like, and why you doing that?
yeah, why torture yourself?
Right.
Oh,
And you sit back and you say, okay, look, you guys, now my standard is totally a godly standard now. It has to
mhm.
be, because I don't want to marry somebody and they're in the basement drinking blood, or I don't want to marry some.
Are you sure? you
But
know, all those creepy celebrities that
yeah,
these videos are just going viral.
and
Um,
it's like it's okay.
but here's the thing that I keep thinking to myself, and this is another big shift that we're going to get in the next couple years, and I hope people are gearing up for this, because biblically this has been talked about as well, but we're literally shifting away the from the materialism.
Yeah.
And I said this to my mom the other day. I said this to my son the other day. I said, if you could have $1 million, $1 million, and the most amazing car, or you could have the power to heal, what would you rather have? And it was easy. He'd rather have the power to heal. Why is it that growing the spirituality and connectedness that grows us together, that is our true authentic selves of who we really are, is something we more desire than the materialism? It's because we're moving away from that. It's not
Yes.
that you can't have nice things. And I never like to get that confused, because some people stop there and they don't explain. No, it doesn't mean you can't have nice things. It doesn't mean you can't have a nice home. But how much do you need?
Right.
And where does it ever end? Because we see these celebrities in these massive mansions with basements, with things underneath them that they probably don't need, but they've made a choice. They
Right.
made a choice to engage in something, to walk that line across on the other side and pull away from God.
Right. So it's nothing wrong with having money, just long as the money don't have you.
Exactly. And there's a really great book called The Illusion of Money. It's another great book of mine from Kyle Cease. If anyone's ever interested in reading that book, that is a fantastic book.
Mm.
It's called The Illusion of Money from Kyle Cease. And I really, it
But
was an eye opener. We're not chasing money. We
right.
don't chase money. That's not how we
Between
live.
between you, Sarah, and Amber,
Mhm.
y'all gonna make me give my money to so many book companies and stuff like that, that it's a shame.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm reading them. I'm reading them, and I'm taking the time out to read a lot of them. Right now, I'm working on this book because I hear about it so much online. It's called The Art of War.
Mm.
I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yep.
This is a strong book that a lot of people are saying that Trump is playing this art of war right now, and it's very interesting because when you actually read it, on page 7, it says, and the chapter 1 is called "Laying Plans." Like laying the plans for the art of war. And number 18 is very easy to read. It's a very easy read. Number 18 on page 7 says all warfare is based on deception. All warfare.
Of course.
And it's like, you're never going to know what your enemy's thinking or what's what. So when you're seeing all this crazy stuff that you're seeing on the TV right now, I know that that's all part of the warfare. And it's just combobulating. It's messing with your brain because you're like, what's what? Is Elon good? Is he bad? I don't know anymore, right? Does it matter? Actions speak louder than the words. If we're right here in the moment of him doing good, then great. That's where he's at right now. Am I going to ignore the things that he said before about wanting to, chip us all? No, I'm not going to forget about that.
Right.
But we're also going to focus on what's what right now, because these things that are happening right now on Twitter are really going to help us. I think it's going to be one of the breaking points moving forward. I'm ready to see this collapse.
Well, it's going to.
It is. It has to.
Right.
And we talked about that. It's exciting.
And even the Bible says a nation divided against itself cannot stand.
No.
And here's the thing about it. What's the Supreme Court judge that passed a couple of years ago, the lady?
Yes, that woman. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
The older woman.
And they say she was a liberal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But her best friend was the Supreme Court judge that was a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And they ate lunch together. They went on vacation together. They ate at each other's house during the holidays. But they wanted everybody to know or to think that they was divided. One was a conservative, one was a liberal. But they was best friends. They was everywhere together. So while they're friends, they got you fighting your family member against you trying to defend one and the other one defending the other one. So you guys are fighting while they're on vacation together.
We're not fighting against, flesh and blood.
Right.
We're fighting against principalities.
And just like, and I tell people, just like the Holy Spirit need a house to operate and a vehicle to operate, same thing as the enemy. He needs a body too.
Right.
And so if you yielding your body to him to cause confusion, division, and hatred, then he's going to use it. He's not going to say, oh, no, I'm not going to use you. He'll use you and give you to one of the biggest platforms and say, have your way.
I think that we have so much to look forward to, in this near future. I don't think it's as grim. And the way that it is going to be grim in 2023, because with China closing everything down, and that is going to affect our supply, no matter how we look at it for 2023. And that has all been talked about, even from some of the top billionaires. But mainstream media doesn't cover it. And so most people don't even hear about it. So if they're not stocking up on food and other aspects, these are the things to kind of look to. And we kind of talked about that privately. But, as listeners, we, can look at that as an option.
Oh, yeah. And the thing about it is, if you don't know how to grow fruit, then you need to become best friends with somebody who does.
Or watch a YouTube video.
Right. And then share your service with them and let them share their service with you.
Learn to be a trader.
Yeah. You got to learn, you know, because I'll be like, look, I can't grow. I mean, I'll be honest.
You can do anything you put your mind to, Dr. King. Yes, you can.
I know. I said, I'm going to be honest. I'm lazy. I ain't doing it. So
the truth comes out.
I would
specialize in other areas.
Yeah. So I would do something else for you. I would market your farm, your meat, your whatever. I do it all for you. And I trade you service. You give me food. I'll work for you, whatever it takes.
And I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the future.
Oh, yes.
We really are. And I just don't know how mentally prepared some people are going to be with some of the things that are going to be coming out. There's a lot of things that are going to shift our consciousness and our mindset so strongly in 2023. It's really going to be a year to gear things up. Everything from January till the summertime. It's going to be crazy. And you're going to see very different. I'm making predictions now so we can go back and look back and be like, hey, Anna said this. She said this way back when.
Right.
But I really do think we're going to see massive changes with the Senate. massive changes with the Senate.
Oh, yeah.
And we could even see new elections.
Somebody says I'm the least
And the
of the.
least lazy person I've ever met. Good evening. You've got
Well,
talent.
I do, but sometimes if it's something that I really don't like doing, I get lazy real fast. I'll be like, you do that, I do something else because I don't. My father fixed on cars. My stepfather fixed on cars. My uncle fixed on cars. I I did a timing belt,
Yeah.
and so we had to take the engine apart and put it back together and all of that. I mean, I did all that. That was great. I didn't like getting dirty, so I didn't go into the mechanical field.
No, wasn't
I
your jam.
it's not like I don't know how.
No, you're a preacher.
I'd be like, nope.
I'll
I'll
tell
let,
you how to do it. I mean,
I
I'll
tell
find you
you,
somebody who can.
oh yeah, but me, no, I'm
No,
not. I'm not getting down there. And it's like I said, it's not like I can't. It's just certain things I just don't
you
do.
just can't. Yeah. Now it's interesting because having worked with people, I work a lot on their vocabulary and and how they talk to themselves. So whenever I hear that's too hard or I can't, I will work with an individual to change their vocabulary around to say, David, it's a challenge, but we can
Yes.
overcome challenges, can't we?
Oh yeah. I
We can.
use that. I do that too as I'm pastoring and I'm counseling people. I don't let
No,
them use the word hard. I always tell them
no,
use the
because it
word
creates a
challenge.
blockade. And I literally will make this kind of a like, here's your brain, and then here's you trying to say it's too hard. Well, you can't get through
Right.
anything. So when we say things are a challenge, it allows for us to maybe think and process things a little bit differently. But the thing is, we have to be able to process it.
Right. And figure it.
Otherwise, yeah, and be able to figure it out because that problem solving, helps grow the spirit when you overcome those challenges.
Oh yes. That is so true. Now you had a book. What's that book you showed me when we was behind in the studio?
Oh yeah. I have 3 amazing books that I so one thing that we really connected on was common law. And it
Yes.
is really important because in the future, this is going to be something that people are going to want to take heed in. We are going to move to constitutional law.
Yeah.
And I said this in my podcast years ago. I said this years ago. I said that the social medias were all going to fail. They're all going to come down and we're going to have to go to different platforms and you're going to have to find marketing and start learning how to market differently on different platforms and start doing it now so you're ready to go. I also talked about how you're going to see we talked about major tribunals coming in the summer of
Yes.
next year in 2023, and you're going to see massive amount of doctors and nurses relearning. So if you're going to school right now to be a doctor or nurse, you might not want to do that right now. You might want to wait a bit
Mm.
because you're going to have to relearn everything again. Same thing with lawyers. We're going to have to go to constitutional law.
Yes.
And I think we're already there. We can already do it now. Anyone can do it at any time.
Yes.
But the problem is that people have to be willing to walk away from certain institutions and say no more. I'm not going to pay you to teach me things that aren't going to actually help me in my life
Right.
and actually help other people. So the 3 books that I have, one is called Common Law Handbook. Um, and I will put this in the link below to you. And the other one kind of looks the same too, but it's called Meet Your Straw Man. I'm sure you know about the straw man.
Oh yes.
So this is a really good one. It's a small book. It's not too crazy big. And the other one is the UCC Connection: How to Free Yourself from Legal Tyranny.
Mm. You
And
know, I learned about the straw man in 2008. And
mhm.
as people was talking about it, other people saying, y'all crazy. Y'all don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
What
it's
are you?
very real.
Of course. Now it's like, oh my God, this is what they were saying.
I'm hearing
It,
it everywhere on the internet. It's all over the
ri-
place.
right. And this is why we're doing the PMAs. So it frees you and protects you all at once. And
Mhm.
so, so This is why we're teaching them about the PMAs. This is why we're teaching them how to win a court case without an attorney, using the Fifth and Sixth Amendment. And so we're doing these things to show, especially ministries, because pastors are going to get in trouble in a minute. And it's
we
coming.
talked about the 501c3s are
Yes.
not going to be the wave of the future either.
Right.
They're going to
And
collapse.
it's going to real fast. And then, and so if the church is not prepared and they can silence the church, then they win.
Right.
So, so we have to be in a position where we can't be touched. And so learning the Constitution, that's why we have a constitutional class, learning the Constitution, understanding what the forefathers meant by protecting the church, understanding the PMA. There are lawyers now that has turned in their card, and I think they have to wait 3 years of retirement before they can go into being a constitutional lawyer. They got to free themselves for so long. And I think I'm saying it right. If I'm not, I'll call Amber and Sarah to give it to me for, the right information. But you already got lawyers breaking away from it to be constitutional lawyers. You got doctors breaking away from it so they can still practice medicine to help a person out. And I'm so grateful for my doctor because he's a holistic doctor. And
I'm gonna need his number.
Oh, yes. He's a holistic doctor. And then my pharmacist is a master herbalist. So,
nice.
Yes. So I also envisioning a medical clinic where you have both the medical and the holistic doctor in there. Both those that want the pharmacy, because we already know that everybody is not going to be educated enough to make that switch. So those who
it's a big jump. It's a very big jump.
So those that need that medicine, they get it. But those who want the herbs to heal their body, they'll be able to get it too. I always want to make it to a place where families have choices.
Yes, and there's multiple choices. And we should do a podcast on all the different herb stuff, because I would love to. And the best water, and all these different things, because there are so many solutions. Don't feel like there aren't solutions.
When that show comes, that'll be you and Rosie, because she
I love that.
She is the herbalist. I mean, everything in this house to heal our body.
Onion, garlic, honey. I mean, that's all you need, and you can take care of a cold.
Yes.
And you can make HCQ as well from your home. There's lots of easy things to do, but I think the onion, garlic, and honey is probably the easiest one.
Right. And so when we look at it, right?
Yeah.
We're just empowering the people, say, hey, listen, this is for your benefit, that you can make a decision. You don't have to always do things that way. You can do it another way.
You can watch a YouTube video to teach yourself how to do it, because that's what I tell my mom. She's always like, you're not going to help me do this. You're not going to help me do that. Mom, I can't help you all the minute of every day. She's 75.
Right.
And she lives with me. And it's like, there's only so much I can do. Come on, Granny. I love you. Real quick, I just want to say something real quick about the straw man account.
Okay.
Because, and I'm sure you already know this, if you've looked into the straw man, then you know about your Social Security and how much you're worth and your value. And that also goes back into that biblical sense of that we are kings and queens walking around. We are royalty.
Right.
That doesn't mean that we're like little stuck up with our noses in the air, but with your royalty, you're going to take care of yourself a little differently than if you didn't think or didn't know that you were.
Right.
And you have to understand why we're being attacked on such a demonic playing field in so many different avenues of the self, from the skies to our health, to what we're breathing, to what we're eating, to what we're seeing, to what we're hearing, because we are royalty.
Right.
And there's only one individual that, Satan doesn't, if you're the devil, I don't know if you've ever read that poem, If I Was the Devil. Did you ever hear that poem before?
No.
We'll have to bring it on, because it talks about how the devil, if this individual was a devil, all the levels of deception that this individual would do. And when you read this poem, it's like, wow, that's everything that's happening right now. So I could do one or two things. I can accept that, or I can make different choices in my life. I can speak differently. I can hold
Yes.
myself differently. I can dress differently. I can, there's all this aspects to the self of making that decision, that choice to say, God, I'm willing to serve. Show me what you need me to do today so that I can be of service to you. Put on that
Right.
armor of God and then just go out and then be that. Because we don't all need to be overly done. We don't need to always be in everyone's face projecting, because everybody needs to be where they're at.
Right.
So if you're quiet and that's your thing, then God's going to put you in the best place that you are going to create the most service. But just because you're quiet or more of an introvert doesn't mean that you are not of the same value as the extrovert, the one that's preaching and the one that's screaming to the masses. Hello, anybody listening?
Right.
I'm sure you've heard it's not the person that speaks first that people listen to. It's the second person and the third person,
Right.
because then everybody realizes that they're not alone.
Right.
And that's the power of change and shifting.
And I tell people, it's not the first person that people listen to unless I'm speaking, because after me, they don't want to hear nobody else. but when we look at it and you say, okay, I gotta cut this up, and sometime I gotta parade it that people will be able to swallow it.
Right.
Because even with the straw man, we talk about straw man, they look at us like we're really, really cuckoo.
That's
But
okay. That's
but
okay.
right, but when you put it in a parade
Mhm.
and then serve it to them, they eat it all. They get all the nutrition out of it, and it's the same thing. It's just served. Like my wife would say, "Eat spinach." I'd be like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that." And next thing I know, it's in my smoothie, right?
She snuck it in there for you.
So, the kale and all of that is in my
Delicious.
smoothie, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But okay, so I won't eat it this way, but I eat it this way, right?
Right.
And so, and that's just the way some people are, that we just have to figure out another way so they can get it, because they're not all gonna get it if we just go straight at them, right? So we
Mhm.
have to
Plant seeds. You have to plant seeds.
Yeah. And we got to be like Jesus. Jesus said he knew they wasn't going to get it. So what he do? He came with parables. Because if he'd have just said straight out, they'd have been like, what? So he said, okay,
But he also had to show them too.
yeah. So he says, I'm going
Show the people.
to show you, I'm going to give you parables. And then in that way, okay, somebody say, know your audience. Know my audience. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, if you're talking to somebody, you want to know
Yeah, I
exactly
got
where
it
they're
now.
standing.
Yeah, you got to know your audience. You can't just go and say anything to everybody, because that everybody is not on the same page. Everybody is not all together.
So real quick with that is, sometimes when people don't want to hear things, especially when it comes to, for example, talking about, um, like what we talked about, like the straw man account and stuff like that, there is this portion of the self that still has a poverty conscious mindset, or the person sometimes doesn't feel that they're worthy of of abundance or of good things to happen in their life. And those are the traumas that a lot of people carry with them. So a lot of times when people carry around those traumas, yeah, they're not ready to hear what you have to say. And that's kind of, it's made it a lot easier for me to be able to have conversations with people, because I truly understand that they're just traumatized by their own fears of feeling that they're not deserving for a lot of things. And so what I used to say in my podcast all the time was, the information that I'm going to express to you is like a pendulum.
Right.
The pendulum goes far left, where it's very dark and very hard to grasp and digest. But it also goes far right, where it's beautiful and it's amazing and it's beyond what the mind could even fathom. So you have to find your middle. You have to find your middle and you have to find your center, because you're still going to need to hear some of these aspects of the dark in order to appreciate some of the stuff from the light.
Yeah.
And, before we get to that light and goodness, before we enter into it, we have to be ready to understand where we never want to go back to.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what happened with some teenagers, and I am just at all. I mean, I love it. And they are now calling me Godfather. They made me their
Oh, that's a good
Godfather.
thing. Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
They,
Not
they,
the Godfather.
not the Godfather, but their Godfather.
Oh, that's so nice.
And so they were sitting there because in school they was taught that homosexuality was a feeling, and and people were just born that way. It's a feeling, da 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 da. And I didn't bash them or anything. I said, okay, let's just have this conversation. So we having this conversation, three young ladies, and I said, all y'all beautiful. Are y'all all friends? And they said, yeah. I said, are y'all all best friends? And they was like, yeah. And I said, do you ever tell her she look good? She'd be like, yeah. I said, do you ever tell her she look good? Yeah. Do y'all ever tell each other your hair is nice and your outfit is great? I said, yeah. I said, and y'all all best friends, right? And they said, yeah. I said, so y'all all love each other and y'all will do something for each other? And they was like, yeah, we will. I said, okay, so which one of y'all go together? And they looked at me and they was like, what? I said, which one of y'all go together? And they said to me,
Oh, wait, not like that.
they said, we're not gay. I said, you just told me it was a feeling. And y'all just told me you love each other. That is a feeling. I said, so why y'all don't go together? And the lady said, because we choose not to. I said, say that one more time. She said, oh, it's not a feeling, it's a choice. I said, exactly. It is a choice. And they were saying to me, oh, so you're not judging. I said, no, I'm just showing you guys. I said, let me ask y'all a question. And the adults was there, and I said, this is not to y'all, but this is to the adults. And I said, and we was in the barbershop. I love doing barbershop real talk. And so I said, can a virgin be a nymphomaniac? And they thought about it for a minute, and they said, no, there's no way a virgin can be a nymphomaniac. And I said, why not? And he said, because they never tasted sex. So how could they be a nymphomaniac? I said, exactly. So how can a kid be gay if he never tasted sex?
Mm.
And they all sit there for a minute. And they was like, wow. So how do this kid know he's gay if he never tasted sex?
Mm.
And they just looked at me and they was like, man, you just broke that down in a way I never paid attention to it. Well, I mean, because you don't think, you just let somebody tell you something.
It's the programming.
Right. And then, like I said, a woman cannot be kind of pregnant. Either she's pregnant or she's not. There's no
Right.
such thing as kind of pregnant. I don't care how much she think it in her head. It's no way. Either you are or you're not. Right?
Right.
So let's deal with the facts, not feeling, because a woman can say, oh, I feel pregnant. Okay, but are you pregnant? You know,
Yeah.
and why do you feel pregnant? Because you're tired, you got the munchies, you want a pickle and ice cream. I mean, or what? Or do you just want a baby so bad that you're trying to say, I'm pregnant? You know,
It's the programming. It's the constant programming of the brain of what we are doing to young children. And, I did tell you a little bit about when I went to Mount Mary and I was getting my master's degree, that I learned a lot about Rudolf Steiner and a lot of esoteric
yes,
aspects in a Catholic college. And I always like to add that in there. It was a Catholic college. I was in another Catholic college where I learned about subliminal messaging in Disney.
right.
What I learned from that is there's so much of that programming that is done so early on, and it is so vital to protect the self and that child. And we're just, we're doing so much with the tell lie vision that we're creating and instilling within the sound. And I don't know if we've ever talked about sound vibrational frequencies even. I mean, I can talk about so many topics, and I love being a person of a lot of different information, but it's that layered things that are reprogramming up here and making it very difficult and very confusing for these kids to be able, without having very meaningful conversations like what you're doing, because they don't have those opportunities, not in school, not in their personal life. They need somebody to step in and say, hey, I'm willing to have these conversations, these hard, difficult conversations, but conversations that we need to have nonetheless.
Well, it's so funny you say that because I'm finna play something, and let me turn it all the way up.
Okay.
Uh, watch this because this will tell you right here. You ready?
Okay.
Now, you can be anywhere and play that. The moment those kids hear this right here, they already know. They
What is,
are
what is
they are trained from a baby. I'm talking about a little bitty baby.
oh,
The moment they hear that, right? And I kept a close eye
mm,
on it because my my youngest, she was crazy about it. So I wanted to make sure they wasn't doing anything in there that was messing with kids, right?
yeah.
But this just right here.
Yeah.
Now, now, if somebody's watching this and there's a baby around them, that baby's looking because that cat. I mean, it just captured all babies, no matter what color they are.
Hmm.
You play that and they know what it is. And I'm
Hmm.
sitting there like, how is it that this right here is just drawing the kids in, right? And
Yeah.
and I- and I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow. So if that is doing that to babies, right?
Hmm.
And then you got Grand Theft Auto, right? And it's showing the kids you can steal a car, have a police chase, you can get away or you don't get away, you die right there. And that's what we see a lot of our young kids doing right now, stealing cars, having police chase.
It's
Because
all the programming. It's all
yeah,
programming.
it's programming. And who was it? Queen. Queen had a song out. Um, it says,
All we have to do is look at the lyrics of some of these
right.
songs.
Queen's song said, Mama, I just killed a man. I put a gun up to his head, I pulled the trigger, and now he's dead. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to that song, right?
Hmm.
And
Do you remember? Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
so so I'm listening to that, and then when that song came out, there was another song. It was like heavy metal, and the music would go da na na, kill your mama, da na na, and this young teenager literally killed his mama.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
You
if
know,
you go ahead.
this goes back. I was just listening earlier today, um, to some of the old music that I used to listen to, and I'm like, oh my gosh, these lyrics. And we always do that as adults. We're like, man, you're listening to oh my gosh. Okay, so as I'm listening to some of these old school songs, I won't list them all right now. I was listening back, and I can't believe this was over 13 years ago. The Black Eyed Peas, Where is the Love?
Oh,
Re-listen, re-listen to that song because I keep thinking to myself, how were they able to get away with saying all the things that they did? They talked about the KKK. They talked about um, the the CIA being bad. They talked about the manipulation of wars and the lies behind wars. How are they able to get away with that 13 years ago?
Yeah.
Over 13 years ago. And then I'm thinking, you compare it then to the music that you have right now. But, going back to a lot of these lyrics, it was all programming us. There are
Oh yeah.
patents. There are patents on the frequencies um, with different hertz that give off on our televisions. I'm sure you probably knew that one.
Yeah.
But there are various different patents on that. And it's like, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
You got that frequency. That's why we tell people, turn off your TV, turn off those things.
Right.
Get those
And
devices for your phone so you don't get the Wi-Fi signals and the 5G
right.
radiation.
Um, the movie Enemy of State with Will Smith,
Hmm.
when his college buddy, he ran into his college buddy and he stuffed something in his bag and he didn't know he had it.
Yeah.
And the I believe it was the CIA. They went in and they found out that he had it, and they said, "Okay, what are we going to do about it?" They says, "Let's discredit him now. You know, let's mess with his bank accounts. Let's put out false accusations on him. So when he tried to talk, if he realized what he got, he tried to talk. Nobody would believe him, right?"
Hmm.
Why is they doing that now to Kanye West?
Mm.
They making everybody think he's crazy. Yeah,
Right.
he might have had a breakdown when his mama died. Every person does that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mom, right? But every time he opened his mouth, they try to discredit him like he's so crazy.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there like, how is a billionaire that crazy?
He showed so much proof.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I would even let it bother me. I'd be like, yeah, I just showed a ton of proof, and now you're coming after me. He's literally showing what's being done behind closed doors. And what's really interesting is, why now? See,
Right.
people don't ask that question. Why are we seeing this now? Well, we've been seeing it, and there's tons of movies and video footage and
Like the Matrix.
well, that's a whole nother, yes. Yes. But there's a video clip that my mentor had actually sent me recently. Um, and it was, I'm just trying to find it right here. Here it is. John Lennon. Do you remember John Lennon?
Oh, yes.
He was from the Beatles. He did an interview, and people are saying it's this interview that got him killed.
Yeah.
And he was a sacrifice. And they showed in the next album after he died all the subliminal messaging in the album cover. And if you ever looked on the Beatles, there is one album cover that they have babies' parts dismembered baby parts with blood,
What?
and it's like a decapitated baby on their front cover. Hmm. Yeah, people don't like to remember those, but they were always in it. And
Wow.
then in one of his videos, he talks about um, how there's these, he labels and he names Russia and he names China in this interview as people who are, chasing after crazy things, and they're just insane people. That they are insane people after pretty much a lot of control and whatnot. But in this very interview, he doesn't live past it. We look at all the people who have tried to speak out, and they've ended up dead. And I wonder, is Kanye West going to be somebody we're not going to see?
Well, he's telling people, if you don't see me no more,
Right.
it's like he's saying things, and when you really look at it, it's like, okay, this guy is on national television. He has influence with a lot of people, and now he's talking, the way he's talking. He even set up a choir to praise our Lord, and so you're looking at him like, okay, he might be a sacrifice, but if he is going to be that sacrifice, I think he says he's going to go out telling the truth.
Mm. Let me tell you, for those people who don't know how these people are sacrificed, you wouldn't want this on your worst enemy, what they do to them. So when you hear somebody like him talking, we'll have to have some conversations on what happens
Well,
to individuals because it's pretty horrific what they're doing to
he
them.
made a statement. His mom was sacrificed.
But that's a different type of sacrifice. There's
Right.
all different types of sacrifice. And ritualistic, whether you are joining an occult, it's different that type of sacrifice because that type of sacrifice has you have to endure torture to be a part of, just like in a gang, you have to get beat
Right.
up. Well, you have to be tortured in order to be a part of certain secret societies. And people have no idea how horrific it is. It's
Well,
absolutely disgusting.
well, they can have all that. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't play that because we are on a different path of enlightenment and joy and prosperity, and we have wonderful things, as Donald Trump has told us, wonderful things are to come. And it's really interesting to see what's going to come in 2023. I think you're going to see some major changes by Christmas, and in January of next year I think we're going to see some of the biggest shifts happening in early January of next year.
And that's going to be very interesting. And I'm hoping that, like you said earlier, people are prepared for what's getting ready to come down the pipe because,
They're looking at doing a second shutdown right now.
yeah.
So if you haven't prepared for that, I'd
Well,
make sure.
I never shut down no way, so I'm not even worried about them. I didn't shut down on the first one, so I'm not shutting down on the second one. So
Well, this one might be a little bit different. And like I said to you before, if military steps in, then you don't really want to be out when military is stepping in. And that change of command and that shift will actually be a positive one for humanity, not a negative one, because that's what's already happened in Brazil and that's what's happening in other countries. And we're not hearing about that enough. But people from Brazil are talking about how their militaries are stepping in because of the elections and stuff like that have happened.
yeah.
So exciting times ahead.
Well, as long as it's good, I'm okay. But if it's
Yes.
not good, then
If it's military, you stay off the street. If it's the cabal telling you to shut down for a stupid reason of another virus, but it's interesting because where we're headed right now, we're going to go through this twice. And the second time is going to wake people up. I mean, that's a biblical prophecy as well. Have you ever followed Kim Clement? I think we talked about that. Yes. And Kim Clement said when talking about the two presidents, when talking about, the fall, in fall, in November, it's going to be really rocky. And we only have one more day left of November. But
right.
look at how much we've already rocked the boat with a lot of the things that we've seen. But by Christmas was another really big prophecy that Kim Clement did. The only problem was he didn't tell us what year. So we're really thinking like this could be the Christmas he was talking about.
And I forgot the prophet from Australia. 2020, he said that God is going to do something great in America, and it was going to start in Wisconsin.
And I have heard from other individuals that Wisconsin is going to become the new Mecca of the new world that we're going to be creating. Wisconsin, Chicago, like Illinois area, like we're going to become the new Mecca. So we're going to grow. We're going to grow. It's going to be really exciting. I'm so excited.
It is because I listened to the guy in 2020 when God gave it to him and how it's going to come through Wisconsin. But then when you think about it, everything was tested in Wisconsin first anyway. So I guess God said, okay, I use what y'all use, and that's the part I love about God. He let us think we in charge, and then all of a sudden he does something, say, see, you're not in charge.
No.
Now, are you ready to do it my way? And so I just want to say to those who really trust God, who really believe in God, they need to take a little more time to spend time with God. So when he moves, you will know when to move. Just like he told the children of Israelite, I'm gonna lead you by a cloud in the day and by a pillar of fire at night. But when I move, you move.
Mhm.
So we need to be in position. So when he move, we move.
And be flexible and be open-minded, because as we're
Yes.
shifting into this new world and this new glory that we're going to be heading into in the next couple of years, it's not going to happen overnight, but the
Right.
shock is going to happen all at once, and it's going to come like a flood, because we have a lot of truth coming out in the near future. And then, like I mentioned before, the tribunals for next year are going to be really big.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And I'm excited about that, because we
Oh,
need this. We don't want to be alone anymore in this war and this information war battle that we've been in, where where you just feel so alone. And I really think that the tides are going to start shifting in a massive way. We're already seeing it through the mainstream media, but we're going to see it more so in our own backyard. So if we're geared up for that, if we're prepared with food and water, for so many days in case there is another shutdown and you won't have access to things. You have to understand there's this big push right now with people pushing out the fact that we're going to have blackouts. Don't think that they don't put that stuff out there on purpose. They have to do that. I don't know how much you know about occult practices, but they have to put out this information, because when it comes back to um, the books with the courts of heaven and stuff like that, in occult practices, they have to be able to tell you what they're doing to us.
right.
That's part of the rules.
Right.
That's just part of the rules. And so by letting us know what's coming, we can prepare, and we can be like, okay, this isn't a fear tactic, but probably I would at least need maybe 30 days supply of medicine on hand.
Yes.
Just extra things. There's just nothing wrong with pre-planning.
Nothing at all.
Nothing wrong with that. But just make sure you got your ducks in a row. And if you can, make some time to maybe stack up on silver. Wouldn't be the worst thing. Get some dimes, get some quarters,
Yes.
And learn about that. Learn about what it means to stack, and just have that little extra just in case you need to
And buy some
trade.
land. And buy you some land.
Well, yeah, but if you can't leave out of your home, you might not be able to get to the land.
Well, if
If it's a blackout and you can't even use your phone a little bit, that'll be interesting, because as this information progresses and it gets stronger and stronger, that is they're doing that in other countries already. That's why we're anticipating it.
that's why you got to buy the land, so you can be in the middle of it, so you'll see people coming, and then you'll be
Well, if you
able
can't
to
afford the land, if you cannot afford a land right now, or purchasing some property,
cash in some of your silver, get you some land.
you're going to need that silver.
You're gonna need that.
You're
Yes,
going to
you
need that
go.
silver. So the different great precious metals that you can stock up on right now would be silver,
And
gold,
go. Yes.
and copper.
Yes.
Brass is also good too. Don't think that these precious metals don't mean anything. Did you know, side note, because I'm full of weird information that almost seems useless at times, but did you know back in the day, I think it was in the 1930s, 1940s, in all different businesses, they used to have brass doorknobs
Mm.
and copper doorknobs, and they
Yes.
took them away, but they used to have them because people wouldn't get sick by having those on the doorknobs. They are antibacterial, so
Right.
they don't hold any what do you call it, viruses and stuff like that on them. And it's funny that we took that away. Hey,
Well, you
and then we built hospitals everywhere. Just saying, kind of interesting.
and the thing about it is, when you look at it, like even in the medical field, I saw how the Rockefellers gave money into the medical colleges, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, all the natural healings went away out of the medical colleges.
And who did
And
they put down? Who were they putting down? They were
who?
doing the same thing that they're doing now. They did that back to Nikola Tesla
Yeah.
with Henry Ford.
Yes.
Henry Ford was going around and electrocuting animals. I don't know if you knew that, but he was electrocuting animals in and paying kids to go gather people to watch him electrocute animals and say, "This is Nikola Tesla's technology, and this is what it's doing. It's killing them." And he would just enjoy watching them and torture them and kill them until they died. Horrific,
And
horrific. Yeah.
I tell you, when we start to look and do things and realize what's going on, we be like, wow.
And that's why your education system was bought and paid for by the Rockefellers and Henry Ford and a whole
The
bunch of other
Rothschilds
the
and
Rothschilds and all that other stuff. There is so much disinformation within our history. It's unbelievable, as well as our science. And that's
yes,
why we've pushed away from a lot of the certain mindsets of things. That's why I tell people just keep an open mind. You don't have to agree with everything, but just keep an open mind and have some reflection and think, does that really make sense to me? That
yes.
really makes sense? Can I really align with that in my life? I don't know.
So this part of it, you have as we closing, you have 3 minutes to give your final thoughts. You got to come back next Tuesday to do Think About It Tuesday Part 2.
Oh, yes.
So we can go ahead. So the moment I put your full face on the screen, you got 3 minutes.
Oh, I hope I can use it all up really wisely. I would say the biggest thing, the biggest thing right now, like, it's kind of as I mentioned before, is to really keep an open mind for a lot of what's coming in the next.
Well, you
Oh, you kind of cut out again.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you just really want to gear up as much as you can. I mean, mentally and physically and emotionally. Taking care of our very best selves is going to be one of the biggest things moving forward. And everyone's going to be at different places. So if you need to read a book and find that reading and engulfing yourself in a great book is going to really help you during this process, then go do that. If it's going to be more prayer and being quiet in your mind, then find that space as well. If it's going to be changing your diet, then make adjustments. Next week I definitely want to talk about some of the things that I've learned in the Waldorf um, curriculum and then some of that more esoteric stuff, because going deep in that is actually kind of fun and it's very relatable on that spiritual side. It's a great conversation piece that I'll bring up next week. But these are all topics that are just going to, I think, balloon and really grow us in a way that's going to take us to that next level. Because if we stay stagnant, if we stay exactly where we are right now, how can we truly expect to move in the direction that we really want to? It's the point of insanity, is doing the same thing in expecting change. And we really have to overcome that fear and saying, you know what, this may be a little bit outside my comfort zone, but I'm going to do my very best in this moment and at this time, moving forward, to make one little shift in my life. And that is the biggest takeaway that I can say to anyone, hopefully, that has watched this today to the end, because it's holding on to the very end. That's the biggest thing of all. And it's never giving up, no matter what. There's so much at stake. And the children is the biggest thing right now. It's the children. It all comes down to the kids. And as their protectors, that's our role. Our role is to lead them into the light. But if we are not healthy mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, it's going to be really hard to get the kids to where we want them to do what we're saying when we're not living in our own light as well. So, yeah, I think that's everything in a nutshell.
And so we really at a place where we got to stop being selfish and think about what's at stake. And like you said earlier, our children is at stake,
Mhm.
and our nation is at stake. And in George Washington farewell speech, he warned us about the division. He warned us about a two-party system that would destroy this nation. And so we have to, just like 9/11, when everybody came together, it wasn't about being a Democrat, Republican, black, white, Latino, rich, poor, middle class. It was one word: Americans. And we came together to save America. And, and we're going to have to do it again. And
Right.
so move our little petty stuff to the side, move our pride to the side, and let's come together, find out who has the best idea to fix that situation, and let's run with it and make it better instead of continue to bicker and point fingers and everything that is going on, because in a minute it's going to be too late. And so uh, we just have to come together and get it done. And so next week, Tuesday, Anna Connects You will be back with us. And I don't know what she's going to tell us next week. So we just looking forward to it. I want to thank everybody for being with us tonight. Remember, call for your book, 414-676-0842. Hey, Chris, I was wondering when you was coming on. Look at
Hey,
he said,
Chris.
hey, Anna. But Chris, I'm gonna call you as soon as we come off the air. We was just closing up. See, I tried to get you on the air so you could have been on the air with me and Anna, but
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, you're a rock star, so you don't, you ain't got time for us, but we'll get you on. But I don't know what she's gonna bring to us on next week, Tuesday, but I'm excited about what she's going to bring. We will be having a constitutional teaching this week. I'm off the road, so we're back on track. And the constitutional queen and her running mate, I call it her sidekick. You see what Chris said about you?
Yeah.
So with her sidekick, I call them Mary and Martha of the Constitution, Amber and Sarah. So they'll be back. And then we're preparing for the Kingdom Constitutional Summit. You guys, it's only $50 for 3 nights. Refreshments is always going to be there. You guys are going to have a glorious time. Sign up by calling 414-676-0842. So we want to thank you guys. Anna, again, thank you for being on. I really appreciate you. And I know we're going to have fun next week as well.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
And, wait a minute. Let me see. What did he say? Let's go. Hey, Carl. God bless you, sir. We're just grateful for you guys coming on, but we're going off. So we thank you guys. And until next week, we will see you guys soon. God bless.